find us.
And you can find the echo. We're on iHeart, Spotify, Amazon, Apple Podcasts, Pocket Casts, Anchor FM, pretty much everywhere. Google. Yeah, it's all over the place. So we are looking forward to tonight's show. Hopefully this goes as planned. Not that things don't normally go as planned,
right?
But actually, they never go as planned,
right?
When it comes to this show or us,
or life,
Otherwise, I'd have two legs.
There you go.
So that's definitely a start. Did not go as planned when I lost a leg. So definitely hoping that tonight goes as planned. If it goes as planned, we will be joined in about less than 15 minutes on the phone by Fox News contributor and star of the Gutfeld Show, Tyrus, should be on the show tonight. We are hoping, praying that he calls in. If you can figure out the phone system. Because a lot of people can't.
Evidently.
Their whole extension thing you got to dial.
Right.
But
Two more
laying
numbers.
the groundwork already, like something is going to go wrong. But that should be happening in about 10, 15 minutes. So looking forward to that. Now, hopefully he doesn't send you over the edge.
No, we'll be okay.
You're sure?
Yeah,
You're
I
gonna be
like
all
the
right.
opportunity. It's the first call-in national guest we've had.
He's actually, Tyrus is going to be in town
It's going to be
October.
really hard to get him his hat, though.
Yeah, it's going to be difficult to get him the hat. Plus, it's in front of a green screen, so nobody can see it anyways. He's going to be in town October 28th at the Weymouth Country Club, or Weymouth Country Club, and Medina. MedinaGOP.org is where you can get tickets to that. But he's going to be doing Tyrus big and live, so that should be kind of cool. I want to go to that.
I would like to just get media credentials and go down and have some more stuff to talk about later. Yeah.
Yeah, I want to, but I'm a huge fan. I have to admit, I'm a little bit smitten, if you will, with Tyrus. That whole show I like. I wait every single night. I sit in my bedroom, wheel in. And
all right, be careful. It's a family show.
I sit in my bedroom?
Well, you prefaced this with how you had a man crush on him. So,
well, yeah, I don't do anything weird like that. I mean, not that weird, but a little smitten. I'm a big fan of the show. Every night, I sit there in a wheelchair watching that on TV before I climb into bed. I don't like watching TV in bed. It's kind of a weird thing for me. I'm not a huge fan of that.
I don't know if I like watching TV in bed because I don't stay awake for more than 30 seconds.
Since this accident with me, I wouldn't say accident. Since I got sick and lost a leg,
right?
I watch a lot of stuff in the bedroom, like a lot. I had to go out and buy like an extra special big TV for the bedroom because the one I had in there previous was not going to do the trick.
Right.
And if I'm home all day like I've been,
you want to see it.
I want to see the TV. And so, I'm looking forward to talking to Tyrus, hopefully, God willing, shortly. Then we have the band Ghostastic on.
That'll be cool. Lots been happening to them and all good. And
Which
they're
I'm
bringing
excited
some
about.
Stories, too. So
yeah, they do. Obviously, they're a band, so they got some gigs coming up. They're playing for Halloween stuff coming up. And they also do ghost hunting, which is kind of cool. They don't actually shoot ghosts and stuff like that and take them home. But they look for ghosts, and I think that's, pretty badass. So then we're going to talk about where they're going. Now, the one guy is here. Caleb is here, who I'm a big fan of. Caleb's a good dude.
Okay.
The other guy, I just call him the hot guy because, all the girls seem to like him, and he takes his shirt off a lot. So hopefully he'll do the interview, with his shirt on.
Okay.
But he does have a lot of videos and stuff that I've seen with his shirt just off. And he walks around because he's got a nice body, I guess.
That's why you got a bigger...
This show's not starting off the way that I had hoped.
This is why you got a bigger
Fox,
TV.
And I'm looking at a guy that has a great body. But it's true, he does. And I'm kind of jealous a little bit.
Is that why you cut your hair?
It is. I did get my hair cut. Doesn't it look nice? Mario's Barbershop in Parma.
Absolutely.
Did a great job, I think.
And thanks to everybody that showed up. It was a nice event, and everybody did what we asked them to do. They brought donations for the people down in Florida.
Yeah.
While we're at it, talking about Mario, you can still bring in Christmas gifts so that the kids affected by the flooding down in Kentucky can still have a Christmas. And as you know, they're going to need an awful lot of stuff for an awful lot of long time down in Florida. So it's not like that, the hurricane's over and it's not in the news anymore. It's not like those people aren't still suffering. So hats off to Mario and all the stuff that they're doing and Northeast Ohio's doing. So
yeah, apparently there was a problem with sound. Somebody was saying, we're good, right, Henry? We're all good? Yeah.
Yep, you're all good.
Because some people were complaining about the lack of sound.
Okay, well, they have a volume button.
No, I don't think that was it, but I think we're okay now.
Okay, good.
You can text into the show or message the show on Facebook or YouTube or wherever you're watching.
I had a little bit of fun driving in the show, coming to get you before we both drove in together.
Yeah.
It's been an awful lot of fun this afternoon listening to all of the national announcers, at least on MLB Network, just nervous and scared because if the Guardians prevail tonight, then, oh my goodness, all the big league major market teams will be eliminated. It'll be a small market playoff from the rest of the way in.
To be honest, I only know about the Guardians. I've not watched 1 minute of baseball other than the Guardians. Who else is in it?
Houston is in...
Houston, small market?
Well, it's smaller.
Smaller.
And they'll play either Cleveland or New York. And the Dodgers and the Braves have been eliminated in the National League. So
I know some people that are very upset about the Braves being eliminated because they wanted to see a team that did not cave in to the woke generation in the baseball playoffs.
Okay.
You're bothered by that. They like the tomahawk chop. They want to keep that kind of stuff.
Yeah, Florida State still got it.
Yeah, well, I think they got permission from the Seminole tribes or whatever to be able to do that. But I haven't watched 1 minute of baseball other than the Guardians. I was hoping to talk to Peter Knapp tonight about the Guardians, but I think he's in New York actually for Game 5 tonight.
If they bring him as a good luck charm, I feel a lot better too about the game. And hats off. I mean, this team is not only good, but since they're so young, they have the potential to be really good for a long time.
Who's pitching tonight?
That would be nice. That would be Savali, I think. But they've said, since he's coming off the IR, it might be him for the first 3-4 innings and then a bullpen game. And if you notice, they didn't use Clase or the rest of the back end of the bullpen, so they're all fresh.
See, I'm nervous though.
I
thought we needed to take the game yesterday. I thought we had to take that one if we wanted to win the series.
It's Cleveland. We don't do anything easy. Ask the Browns.
I don't even want to talk about that team. That was an embarrassment yesterday. But I'm a little bit concerned about tonight's game just because, man, you had your shot here. You had your shot with your fans, your environment, your home field, and you lost that advantage, and now you're going to New York.
Right.
And I think this is going to be tough.
And after the way they treated Quan and Straw last time they were, when they were out there during the regular season, it would be nice if we had the last laugh. So,
Donna sent a message in saying, "Hi guys."
Hi, Donna.
Philly and San Diego. Do you consider Philly a small market? Smaller market?
Yeah. Well, I don't. It's everybody that weeps and moans if Los Angeles and New York aren't in it.
Yeah. Well, those aren't the only two big cities we have.
Yeah, I know.
And Chicago, I guess. Florida State pays the Seminole tribe.
Okay.
You're against all this whole Indian thing, aren't you?
I thought it was ridiculous. It was a caricature. If we are supposed to reach a point where all that matters is the content of one's character and not the color of their skin, if racism is gone, then why would a cartoon be offensive? So we're not there yet, and it's just really stupid to me.
Do you think they should have caved into the culture that is today and changed the name?
I don't think they caved into the culture. I would think that Major League Baseball didn't give them. Yeah. So you can't.
Major League Baseball caved into the culture that is today.
Okay, but then again, Major League Baseball isn't. You make it. What I don't like is as if everything's split 50-50, where all those people are forcing all these people to. It's not how it works. It's just business, and so they made the decision, and the Indians went along with it. I don't know what was threatened. I don't know what would have happened. All I know is the merchandise was selling better than anybody else's all the way across, all over the country.
Mario sent a message. Hey guys, thank you for the haircut, Mario. Richard Genda, Richie Rich from Brunswick. Love you guys. Love the show. Thank you. I just don't think that the Indians would have lost money.
I don't either.
Had they kept the name.
I don't either.
mean, I don't think that it would have changed anything. They would have had the same 30 people, if that, standing outside the field on, opening day, and that would have been it.
I really don't think it was those 30 people that scared an entire organization to death and forced them to change. I just don't.
Well,
I mean, look at Nebraska. Nebraska's mascot is a white guy with blonde hair with a big cowboy hat and an N on his shirt. That's their mascot.
They didn't cave in. They honored Mama Dolan's wishes and did what any business can do, change their nickname. We were lucky to have this team with attendance the last 10 years.
Yeah, that's true, too.
I just don't think that whole changing the name thing was a great idea, personally. I do know people that have not watched a game since they changed the name, and I think they turned some people off. And I don't think that they would have turned anybody else off by keeping the name the way that it was.
Yeah.
And I'm rooting for the team. I can't wait for tonight's game.
Everybody will get used to the new name, but God, could they use a better logo?
Yeah, I hate that.
That took like 5 minutes. Let's put a G on a baseball with wings. It's like,
I mean, if they did the whole thing because they have the Guardian statues along the Lorraine Carnegie Bridge there,
right?
If they did it because of that, they should have the logo be the statue face.
Or if you're listening, Jimmy, I told you, get rid of the red face on Chief Wahoo, lose the feather, and put the Guardian's headgear on the reworked Chief Wahoo, and we're fine. That I could stand behind. It's just like the Redskins. Everybody got nervous. It's just stick a potato on the side of your helmet.
Let's go to the phone lines right now. Is this Tyrus?
Yes, sir.
Tyrus, how are you doing, man?
Maintaining. How are you?
Fantastic. This is you're talking to Seth Williams and Mike Cheselka.
Hi, Tyrus. I just want to welcome you to the show, and in advance, welcome you to Northeast Ohio. When
Fox News contributor, star of the Gutfeld Show, in my opinion. How you doing tonight?
Oh, thank you. I'll take it.
You're actually going to be in town October 28th at the Weymouth Country Club, and you're going to be doing a big event that night. Tickets are available at medinagop.org. What can people expect that night?
We're going to laugh a lot. We're going to break some things down. We're going to keep it, we're doing that crazy thing that no one's ever heard of, apparently, common sense, and make some jokes about it. And the only thing I can guarantee you, there'll be nothing woke.
See, that's what I love.
There you go.
Everything else, everything's wide open. Wherever it goes, but it's not. There'll be no cancellations at the end of the show.
So I guess what I want to ask you first is, do you hate doing these kind of interviews? Because you probably talk to like all these wacky radio guys, and it's got to be kind of annoying talking to everybody.
No, I think here's the deal. When you're doing a good job, everybody wants you get your interviews, you get those things, and then when you're not, you don't get any. So whenever a guy says, "Oh man, I'm so tired of doing these interviews," then let's say success falls, or somebody else comes along with a better idea and is a little funnier, they'll be missing those interviews. So it's part of the job, and I look forward to it. And it's always a work in progress, because I've never been a big fan of talking about myself. Those type of people usually irritate me, but I understand why I'm talking to myself, because I'm performing and going to be at an institution. So I get it, but no, it's not. That's not an issue. I've never looked at myself that high in the food chain to where I'm so bothered by doing an interview. I mean, that's me. When you get to that point, you get a little ahead of yourself, I think.
This is our first opportunity to talk. We haven't met. I've watched and know a little bit about your background and how this all came about and the break that you got. But I spent 25 years as a traveling headlining stand-up comic. And the one question I did want to ask you is, don't you think there's an awful lot to be gained and learned if you have the opportunity to travel and actually get out and see this great country and the people all over the country, and that perspective you get from just the more people you talk to and the more that you see? Do you draw from that?
You gotta have boots on the ground, man.
Yeah.
You gotta experience life. You gotta meet people. There's so many people who make their we'll call them opinions or their judgments with no wisdom or experience. And how you get those, in my opinion, is by being all over the country. And I was allowed to do that as a bodyguard, as a wrestler, as a football player. I've been all over the world again. I've seen things. I've been a part of things. I've been on the high notes. I've been on the downside. I've wrestled in front of 300 people, and I've wrestled in front of an entire world. So, you get to see it all, and you spend a lot of time in a lot of hotel rooms. But you get to meet a lot of people, and I'm a big believer in you make your own breaks. No one's going to do anything for you, and even if somebody sets you up or gives you an opportunity, which is yet to happen, it's all about what you do with it. And
exactly.
Staying power because you're able to deliver and continue to grow and make an audience want to see you every week, and that's the trick. In doing that, the easiest way to do that when you're self-made is being true to yourself and sticking with what you know. And you don't. A lot of times people get caught up in the mainstream media where you have to look like people to agree with them. And life experience doesn't really see height, size, or color. It's about life experience, and a lot of us experience the same things. And a lot of times when I talk, people from all walks of life will be like, "Man, I went through the same thing," because it's a real experience. It's not made up, and it's not a talking point.
And see, Tyrus, that's what I love about like Gutfeld Show, is that you guys put a lot of different personalities on that show. And I think you're fantastic, and Kat is obviously one of my favorite people of all time. I have a lot of time to spend in the bedroom these days. I lost a leg back in April. So watching TV, watching Fox is pretty much all I do. So I love the show. But what do you think is going on in this country? Why is it going off the rails the way that it is?
Well, I think what's happening is, and I really think it's a good thing, I think, sometimes the worst thing is success. And the United States, this latest generation hasn't had to deal with the last two, hasn't had to really deal with real problems, real tough things. Probably the biggest thing we went through was 9/11. And a lot of them born after that have no idea. So we saw a development of a lot of first world problems. People acting like they're Americans. We became spoiled, we became chubby, and we spent more time on TV and watching reality TV shows and getting out and participating, and we allowed media to become a bigger voice. And once news went to profit, we started seeing the pushing of ideas, and a small group that all of a sudden is convincing us that they're a lot bigger than what they are. And it was changing things, and as a result of that, the country was weakened. And now we've seen, especially now with this administration coming in, where their whole agenda was first world progressive socialism, America's rejected it, and we're seeing. But I think we kind of had to go through it a little bit for Americans to be like, all right, enough of this.
Because I even saw today, you brought up 9/11. I even saw today, I think it was a Pentagon chief said in a book that the first responders going into the towers on 9/11 were menaces. And these are people that this administration is putting into power. These are people that are in charge in our country. And I don't see any way to change this other than this coming election.
But let me ask.
We've been reminded how important it is to vote. And two, when you have people with no experience who've been coddled and spoiled, and they're just going off what they read on Twitter or what the headline is on something or what they've decided is to be true, they have no problem saying asinine things like talking about somebody who would run into a building to save somebody's life, knowing there was a 95% chance that they themselves were not coming out. Someone like what we're seeing today they can't even fathom that. So instead of and understanding it and showing respect, it's easier for them to say, find something wrong with it, because that's what you do when you can't grow and you're a spoiled child. And we're seeing the effect of a lot of bulldozer parents, and they're coming of age. But I think the rejection is pretty sound, and it's not because it's not a political thing. It's a life, and we're seeing real life consequences for that first world unaffected agenda that is being pushed on this country, and it's being soundly. When we're going to see it, you're going to see people are going to go out and vote, and this whole thing of trying to make an individual a group, America's rejecting it. You're allowed to be whatever you want in this country. That's what's beautiful about this country. But as long as it doesn't infer on somebody else's belief, I don't have to belong to your fantasy. If you want to be, a green elephant and that's what you want to identify as, that's great. But I don't have to join in on that.
But
and so we're starting to see pushback.
you talked about, unlimited potential and that, I'm 67 years old. And what bothers me a little bit, even beyond this election or the next one or the one after that, is the generation coming up that grew up with a tablet and a cell phone in their hand, and the algorithms behind all of that that's turning people into people that just repeat what they see in social media. That bothers me a little bit. You got to put your phone down, too, to experience a lot of what we're talking about.
And that's kind of what the facade is that we've been fooled to think that the entire United States is on Twitter. It's a small fraction of the United States is on Twitter and on social media to the extent. And we've allowed the Wizard of Oz, the guy behind the curtain with the flames and stuff, to convince us that he had a lot more numbers than he did. And that's why we see when the woke protest, there's 12 of them. That's why we see when they make movies, they fail at the box office. That's when they see when they push agendas, Americans are like, no, what is just that the portion of America that's doing what they need to do, living life and doing the right things and going through trials and tribulations and traveling and working, they're not on it, and they're grossly unrepresented, and this small group has done a good job with the help of mainstream media who push their personal agendas and stuff, but we're seeing it rejected. And I think I think what we now, like 22 days, 20 days, something like that.
22.
Yeah, 22, yeah.
A resounding answer, and we're going to see some changes. And, in the next couple of elections, I think this is Generation X. We've got to step up,
Exactly.
We've got to step up, and we got to start saying, hold on with this. We had a Post-it note on our refrigerator of what we had to do that night when Mom worked nights. We had a key to let herself in after school, and we dealt with stuff. Someone was different with us. It didn't bother us, and we were a lot tougher. But now, we're getting that time where the World War IIers, they have their moment. The baby boomers have their time, and it's time for Generation X to step up and get in the office and start getting us back to boots on the ground.
Yeah, I learned how to ride a bicycle without a helmet, and I drank out of a garden hose.
Amen to that.
I'm still here.
That would make you a very dangerous individual now.
Well, once again, we're talking with Tyrus, Fox News contributor, star of the Gutfeld Show, going to be in town big and live. Tyrus big and live, October 28th at the Weymouth Country Club. Looking forward to that. I think it's going to be a great night. Tickets available, medinagop.org. How did you get involved with the Gutfeld Show and Fox?
Like I said, it was on Twitter. I talk about it in my book a little bit. Greg responded to a joke I made about somebody who was trolling him, just like a random Two Ships Cross the Night. He asked me to come on the show as a guest. I went on, and the first time I was on, it was softball stuff. It was like a Royal Grande licking donuts and putting them back, I think was the story we talked about, and a couple other things. But during the commercial breaks, he's like, "You have really good timing, man. If you lived in New York, I'd like you to be a co-host." And I was like, "I don't live in New York, and I'm pretty busy with wrestling and acting and stuff, but I'd be happy to come back, again." And he's like, "What about once a month?" And I was like, "Sure." And then the situation went down with, I think it was Sterling in Louisiana, with the resisting arrest and police brutality stuff came out, and I gave I tried to explain that you can have two thoughts on the same subject. You can hate a biased cop, but you can still love police officers and support law enforcement. And that segment was the most watched segment in the history of Gutfeld and a lot of Fox shows. And after that, he's like, "I need you." And that's when I realized that I was going to say, "I'll give this a go, see what we got, see what we'll do with it." But
That's
I
awesome.
had no delusions of grandeur. I had no expectations. I just came out, be myself, and we'll see where it goes.
Well, you're awesome, and you're getting a lot of love in our text message window here. People just love what you do, and they just love you. The wrestling thing, how's that going? Is that still going good?
Yeah, it's phenomenal, man. NWA, I'm still the world television champ, and I'm wrestling November 12th in New Orleans in my backyard at Hard Times 3 for the world the NWA World Heavyweight Championship. So that's going. Like I said, my wife's not thrilled about it, but I'm still working about 6 or 7 jobs. But we like the paychecks. But eventually, as Father Time knocks, my window's closing. So probably another year, and then I'll hang them up, and start looking at my retirement window or whatever you want to call it. But it's a good time, and as long as I'm training well and staying in great shape and enjoying what I'm doing, 'cause that's a big thing for me.
Yeah.
You got to enjoy
Gotta
what
like
you
it.
do. I spent most of my life doing what I had to do. Most of us do. That's why I think a lot of people relate to me, because we don't always get to do what we do. When you work, 70 hours, 80 hours a week, you don't get to hang out on your phone, or you don't get to stay up all night and binge watching Netflix, because you have a responsibility to your family, to yourself, to get things done. So, and the idea is like you work your butt off, so one day you don't have to.
So I know you only got a couple minutes left here with it, I know, because you got to run. Not this next election. We hope that things go the way that they should go. We should see a nice little wave here. The presidential election, what do you see happening? Do you see Trump running again? Do you see DeSantis? What do you think is going to happen?
You know what? Either way, I think the Republicans have a solid blueprint to the White House. Whether it's Trump, DeSantis, or someone yet that's shown up. If Trump decides not to run or DeSantis says not to run, I think the Republican Party is listening to the American people, and I think not just getting back on track after the midterms, but doing the deeds. And that's the one thing. Whether you like President Trump or not, his deeds spoke for himself. I wish they spoke a little louder than his tweets sometimes.
Yeah.
But his deeds were solid, and I think Republicans are going to grow on that. And, if they're not, whether he runs or not, he'll definitely tell them about it, and the American people listen. So I think the Republicans got the pulse of America right now, and they're in a tremendous opportunity to get some things, do some things, and start building this country to get back. Recently I was watching a fight this weekend, and then there's a certain respect when national anthems of different countries are played. And it was the first time I had ever heard America booed after
That's crazy.
just shook my head, and I go, that's the result of an administration. The First Lady was booed in Philly. That's what America is saying. And I think the Republicans not just need to listen, because they could just end up being not doing anything, and we'll be no better off. But I think they're listening. I think they get it. And we need to go back to respecting our parents and not calling them domestic terrorists.
Amen.
And get our law enforcement respected again.
When crime is the way that it is in this country now, and the way the education is going, there definitely needs to be a change.
Yep. And I think Republicans are on it. Conservatives are on it, because we're affected by it. Again,
we thank you for your time. We know you got to run, but
enjoy your stay
Tyrus,
in Northeast Ohio.
Yeah, look forward to seeing you October 28th, the Weymouth Country Club. MedinaGOP.org if you want tickets. Get the VIP packages. I think there's only a couple of those left. Some people are texting and saying they got them. So thank you so much for joining us. We really appreciate it, my man.
Thank you.
Yep. Let's do it again soon when I got more time.
Sounds good. Thank you, man. Bye-bye. That was cool. Very exciting.
Dude, that guy is
very, very cool. Yeah. The people in the audience liked it, I guess, here. So that was awesome. We like Tyrus. We love Tyrus. Looking forward to checking out that show. We do have to take a break. We'll talk some more about that, talk more about the Guardians, read your messages as they come in. We'll be right back. It's the Seth Williams Show with Mike Cheselka.
Now it's time for the dirty word of the week. The word that sounds dirty, but really isn't.
Bum fiddler. To pollute or spoil something. Bum fiddler.
That was the dirty word of the week, brought to you by Tony Masaccio, AssuredWindowCleaning.com. Keep your mind out of the gutter. We will clean it.
Everybody knows Tony.
Union Home Mortgage Foundation was designed to help equip families in our local communities with the tools and resources to achieve economic self-sufficiency. Union Home Mortgage participates in multiple donation drives and fundraisers annually because their partners prioritize helping others. They know it feels good to do good and encourage you to make a difference in your community today. Union Home Mortgage. It makes sense to finance your next home with a good neighbor. Call 866-808-7711. What separates Triv's restaurant in Strongsville from everybody else? I'll tell you. Some restaurants you go to eat the same thing over and over and over. But then there are restaurants like Triv's where you want to go there every single time and eat something different until you have eaten every single thing on the menu. Why? Because the food's delicious, and it has been for almost a quarter of a century. Triv's has amazing food, outstanding service, and an opportunity for you to have private dining, special events, intimate occasions. You can enjoy a memorable fine dining experience in your own intimate, dedicated space. Visit Triv's in the heart of Strongsville. Call now for reservations. Dial 440-238-8830. That's 440-238-8830.
Right back here on the Seth Williams Show with Mike Cheselka. Live on Facebook, YouTube, and Twitch. Thank you to Tyrus for calling in tonight.
Making time in his schedule for this show. That's not bad.
Thank you to Tom, Wolf
Not
Creek
bad.
Media, for hooking us up and getting us straightened out with that.
Likewise.
Wolf Creek Media also looking for, we're going to be getting some shirts, I believe,
Yep.
shortly. So looking forward to that. Hopefully they make a couple that fit me.
Oh, they will.
I think I'm losing a little bit of weight, but I don't know.
You've been doing that too, man. Clean up good.
But that was cool. I enjoyed talking to him.
I liked
Somebody texted in, it looks like you have vomit in your mouth.
who I
Yeah, you.
I do
Because after
No.
being on the phone with him.
No, not at all. If anybody that listened when we started this show, I said that both sides have a lot to learn, and the one thing we shouldn't be doing is hating each other. So I don't have a problem with that at all. What I do have a problem with is getting things done, because out of the last 30, 40 years, there's been just as many times when there was a Republican president and that Republican president enjoyed the House and the Senate, and still nothing got done.
Yeah, well, I mean, you're going to talk about, I'm sure you're referring to Donald Trump.
No, I'm not referring to Trump. I'm talking to both Bushes
Well, I agree.
and Nixon.
And I think that's why, for a lot of people, Trump was a refresher, because it wasn't the same crap that's been around for years upon years. Because whether it was Democrat or Republican, you're right.
Thank you.
Nobody got anything done.
Thank you. And
But the
that's,
problem with Trump coming in is that nobody wanted to help him get anything done.
well, the dangerous
so-
thing is assuming that I must have a bad taste in my mouth because I actually sat for 15 minutes and talked to somebody from the other side, and it's like, no. So the problem is whoever sent that little text, and they have to learn to be able to do the same thing, because then once we all do that and don't get that little taste in our mouth, then we can start talking to each other again and getting things done.
Brian sent a message saying plenty got done, but it was all bad. I don't think necessarily it was all bad with all presidents. I think that
No, yeah.
there's been, but I think it's been. I don't want to use Trump's word and say swamp, but it has been a murky swamp of junk when it comes to politics in this country, where nothing gets done unless somebody's doing something else for somebody else, and it's always been just a mess. And this is supposed to be a government by the people, for the people.
Yes, and of the
it's-
people.
But it's not.
Well,
it really
here-
isn't. I mean, people confuse our system with it being a democracy. It's really not a democracy.
It's a representative republic, absolutely.
And
It's
so
never-
what we vote for is not generally what we get.
well,
These
that's not
people,
true.
for the most part, aren't standing up for what we want. They tell you what you want to hear, but then they don't do it. And I will say that a lot of Republicans do the exact same thing.
Yeah, but you know what? Think about this for a minute, Seth. Picture every single race going on in this country right now that has a Republican and a Democrat in, and some of them have an independent too, right?
Yeah.
Go to the Federal Elections Commission finance page and take a look at the money that's being spent. 100 million here, 5 million there, 15 million there. Every single night, no matter who's winning, losing, they're doing polling data and telling you how much money just got dumped in their media campaign. That's as far as we have to go. Everybody goes, well, if it's not the politicians, how can we possibly find the... Where does that money come from? And it's the money that's donated that expects people from both parties to dance when they start playing the music. And so my problem is with both sides, because they're all getting their money from the same place.
And the
And that's,
I agree with that.
You do do the math and take a look at that money. People have said, "Oh, we shouldn't send any money to Ukraine because there's people here in America that could use it." If you took the money that buy our politicians and spend it on Americans, we'd all have loan forgiveness. You wouldn't have to be a college student.
Yes, indeed.
So it's that simple. And as soon as we reach out to each other, here's the difference. I thought about it this last week. Everybody now is saying, oh, if you pick up social media, there's people talking about having a civil war. Well, I was around in the 60s. We were asking for a revolution. There is a big difference between a revolutionary war and a civil war. In a civil war, you hate each other and kill each other off. In a revolution, you actually change things. So let's go back to asking for a revolution and not a civil war, and we'll get some stuff done.
Yeah, I don't necessarily disagree with that.
I don't disagree with you.
The problem, though, that I think that we have in this country is that there's too many that are too divided, and people are too stupid. People are really stupid when it comes to voting anymore. People do vote because of the letter behind the name. And
Yeah.
otherwise, why would Cleveland have the mayors that they've had for years upon years upon years upon years when the city continues to crumble?
you.
People continue to move away from this town,
Right.
and it's because people in Cleveland are voting for the wrong people.
We had
They're voting for people that aren't changing anything.
We had 1 million people, close to 800-some thousand, almost 1 million when I was in junior high and high school. We're like at what, under 500,000? Columbus is a bigger city than we are. Thank you very much.
Oh,
for the
yeah.
leadership.
But again, I think that it's because people don't vote for the change. Look at Philadelphia. Again, it's another town that is in ruins.
But my question to you
People
is,
dying.
is that the money?
New York, people are dying.
Is
And
that because of the money?
I don't know.
And do they like it that way and everything else? Because tearing us up, putting us on both sides of the fence and having each other hate each other, that's by design. And everybody that's falling for that is not in charge. They're listening. They're sheep, not shepherds.
I mean, I look at the state of Pennsylvania. Now, I know the state of Pennsylvania is it's a weird state, but Fetterman is probably going to win and beat Dr. Oz.
Okay, so
And the guy is sick. He can't even perform his duties. He didn't perform when he wasn't sick, but he's still probably going to get voted in because people are voting for the letter.
and
not
would
for
you
the
say
content.
the same thing is true in Georgia if Walker wins?
I don't think he's going to win after this
No, but if he does,
debacle. But if he does,
then it's the same thing. It's that many people. Even if he loses by 10, 20, 30,000 votes, but the 100, 200, 500,000 that vote for him did the same thing you're talking about. They voted for the letter.
well, I also kind of like Herschel Walker as a football player. I'd
Absolutely,
vote for
we all
that.
did.
I'd vote for him for that.
Amen.
And I don't know that I necessarily believe everything that's coming out about him now. I mean,
It's not about what's coming out about him. It's it's his grasp of being able to work us out of this morass.
why would you say that he doesn't have the ability to do that?
There's no experience at all to do
You
that.
don't need experience to do that. I
that's
don't think
the internet
Donald
at work.
Trump needed experience to even run the country. I think he was doing a pretty good job if people would have helped him do it the way that it should have been done.
He had plenty of help.
He didn't have the help. Even Republicans didn't like him because he was going to upset the gravy train. I think you're seeing that a lot now in politics where there's a lot of people, even like J.D. Vance, a business guy. People are coming out that aren't career politicians that are trying to change things and make a difference.
And that's
just because we vote for no, I mean,
Seth, that's not going
if
to
they
work.
don't have experience, who cares? I don't want experience. What I want, experience has gotten us nowhere.
Well, here's my example.
Experience has gotten kids that are 8 years old that want to change their gender. That's what experience has gotten us.
How many?
I hear about them every day. So maybe a
That's
minority
by
group, but that's what
design.
you hear
That
is
is-
minority all the time.
That's by design. You know, I sit down when I pee. I just do. But every time I get up, I still like women.
But there's a lot of kids out there. There
There's
are
not
laws
a lot
going
of kids
on.
out there. And the fact that even was floated out there was to piss everybody off. Everybody says, oh, the answer is term limits. Well, that's the problem. If you have term limits, that means a good politician, a good public servant, a good statesman can only get elected twice. There are no term limits on lobbyists. So they, who know the ropes, run things, and every 2 years you get like normal. That's the other horrible thing that the internet and social media did. When we started calling, you talk about culture wars. When we started calling janitors sanitary engineers, we were in a whole bunch of trouble.
Hey, look,
because there is a hierarchy.
I have a great respect for sanitary engineers.
If you're you can be, and then somebody with a PhD and happens to know what they're talking about in that subject, and it's like, well, I'm entitled to my opinion too. We're in a whole mess of, and like I told you earlier this afternoon, part of our problem is 40 years of civics being taught by gym teachers.
We do have 50 years of Biden in politics. That's a prime example of what's going on.
That's one example.
But they're all over the place. I mean, there's a lot of these people that have been there forever and a day, and they're not going to change anything. They're getting their money. They're getting their kickbacks, whatever you want to call it. They're investing in stocks illegally, probably.
One of these days
Nancy
we'll
Pelosi
do an issues and answers show. But I will tell you this. I think it's really, really convenient for everybody that thinks it's a red thing, blue thing, that profit at a time where businesses are making the most money ever and profits are skyrocketing, that they're charging the average person for gas and food and all the stuff that everybody's blaming on Biden. Maybe it's because he's the first president to stand up and say to the 500 Fortune that pay no tax that you should pay your fair share. So now he's getting screwed. So that's what happened. Now, if it was a Republican president that had done the same thing,
if there was a Republican president that did the same thing and the inflation rate was the way that it is, then I would be complaining the same way that I am now. Well, I go to the store and I spend $50 to buy some pop and some eggs and stuff. It really angers me. It makes me mad. Yeah. When I'm making, I can go down the street, $50 for spaghetti sauce and stuff for dinner is insane.
But why?
It's this president. It wasn't Donald Trump that did it. It's this president.
That's timing.
That's happening.
That's what I meant.
So it's timing.
The same companies I'm talking about got a $2 billion tax break.
I mean, you heard Biden the other day go on TV and say that gas prices are down to $2.99 or below a gallon. There's not a state in the country where that's happening.
Agreed.
So he not only doesn't know what day it is, but he's also lying to people. He is not telling the truth on what he's doing to this country, and right now he's destroying it.
Okay, but everybody that texts us
I can't
is
afford
still in
to do
love
anything anymore
with an ex-president that lied 500 times a day.
Okay, but he didn't destroy the country. I mean, I was able to drive to Pittsburgh the other day, but I wasn't able to have lunch while I was there because I can't afford to do the things that are going on. The state of Ohio has run out of money for unemployment. I cannot get unemployment anymore. It's over, and I cannot get an extension because the state of Ohio is out of money for it. This president is destroying everything.
Okay, and what have the Republicans done to Medicare?
Never worked for a broke person, so you know what? I'm happy to see maybe
Social
one of these
Security's
Fortune 500 companies get a tax break here or there, so that way maybe they'll employ more, maybe they'll keep their prices down.
That's a myth too.
And I don't care if people make money. When is it a crime to have people make money in this country? I would make as much money as I could possibly make if I could.
I get all that, but then pay your fair share of taxes too.
1.4% inflation handed over on 1/20.
And like I said,
21.
who's
1.4? It's up to 8.6 now.
Right,
8.4,
and it was 1.4, and not because of what happened during the pandemic and everything else, because like I said, it's the same people that were told last year you're going to start paying income tax.
By the way, so.
Yeah.
$2.89 a gallon in South Carolina. Well, then you must live right next to an oil well because you know what? I paid $4 a gallon the other day. So if it's that much of a discrepancy between South Carolina and Ohio, something's going wrong.
And if you don't want to pay that kind of money for gas, then get out of your car and go into Starbucks to get your coffee, losers.
Okay.
When you line up for 6
You're right.
blocks
I'll get out.
and sit there for a half hour for a $3
You want to carry me in? With my one leg? You want to carry me in?
You have handicapped parking. You got that blue thing right there. Or I'll go in and get it for you.
I don't
this
think
isn't personal.
I don't think it's going through the drive-through that's causing people to
close your eyes. How many
up.
Starbucks in this country?
I have no idea.
How many 16-block lines? They did a story on one of the local news channels about who has the fastest wait time for fast food. There isn't a fast food sandwich on the face of the earth made that's worth waiting a half hour for. Yeah. And these people order DoorDash where they show up, here's your sandwich. Did you ever try to eat a Big Mac a half hour after it's been made?
Yeah, all the time. They're fantastic. Not in the past 6 months.
So,
just
yeah.
say that.
Okay. Well, I know.
And I like DoorDash, and I like that place right in front of you. Subway.
You don't have. I am going to start a business. It's probably the only one that hasn't been started yet because we already thought about, hey, let's put water in a plastic bottle and charge people $3 for it. And everybody does that. And like I said, I drank out of a garden hose. But what I'm going to do with all these people that are working out and building their bodies is hire 3 or 4 of them, and we'll go door to door, pick you up off the toilet, and wipe your behind. And set you back down and charge you $30, $40 because that's the only thing people still have to do for themselves.
And by
they
the way,
buy your groceries. And here's another thing I'm pissed off at.
You don't like people buying your groceries?
When you have curbside delivery because you called and had somebody else mess up the aisles because of that big cart that they picked your groceries off of and put it, why should you get to park by the front door? You lazy SOB, put the curbside pickup the farthest and make them walk. It's the only thing they did is walk to the front door to go get that bag and go home.
You're very angry, and I hate to say it, but a lot of this
am.
stuff came about because of COVID and what politicians did when they shut the entire thing down.
But
that's what they did. They created these problems.
The whole world shut down.
There wasn't curbside, this, that, and the other thing.
Yes,
and
there was. It was the
there's
start of.
still a lot of restaurants that are still closed because of COVID. A lot of you can't even go inside if you wanted to, and it all started because of what the politicians did when they had this COVID come around when they wanted to screw Trump. Oh, by the way, but when COVID came around,
oh my God, you're telling me a worldwide virus
the country.
was because
no, but I'm
people
telling you, the
wanted
politicians shut down this country because they wanted
the whole world shut down, Seth.
No.
It wasn't American politicians. It certainly wasn't liberal
They kept them
Democrats.
shut down as long as they
The
did.
whole world.
And on top, they
China
kept
is
our
still
schools
shut
closed.
down.
So our kids were screwed up because of the way they kept the schools closed.
Our kids
when
were screwed up
weren't
a
even
lot longer
in
than
jeopardy of getting or dying from COVID, but they kept those schools closed forever and a day, which hurt a lot of kids.
All I can say is, if this generation and that attitude and most of that party had been around when it was polio, we'd all be walking around with leg braces.
Does he have anything negative to say about Democrats?
Please pay attention. This
I'm just
is
reading the text.
everybody.
It wasn't me.
This isn't Democrats or Republicans. It's both. The problem isn't the political. It's us, because we don't go after the right demons.
So what do you want us to do? We have to
I
get
want
rid of
us
the
to
politicians
find
that
out
are there.
and take the ungodly amount of money out of elections and turn it back over to where you go listen to both candidates, you make up your mind, and you go vote. That's what the problem is. The R's are no better than the D's are no better than the R's. I have said that from the beginning. But everything I'm telling you about what's wrong about Democrats is being met by, oh, well, Trump was God. And that's wrong, too. Wake up, folks. You've been conned since he walked down the gold staircase.
Yet Trump was called a racist when he stopped travel from China.
Yeah.
That is true. He was. He was called a xenophobe.
By who? 6 people? Because you heard it on social media?
The President of the United States called him one. Biden.
What? When Trump
shut down the stuff from China.
No, that's not true. No, just because.
He was called a racist for shutting down the travel from China. That is absolutely true. That is fact. You can't argue facts. That is true.
You can. And facts and statistics aren't always the answer either, because like I've said before, ABBA sold more records than Led Zeppelin. Don't you dare sit there and tell me it was a better band.
Still a fact. True
yeah,
or
it
not.
is a fact.
None of the COVID protocols worked.
Yes, they did. How do they know?
How do you know?
1 million people died of COVID.
So
and
standing
now the
6
thing
feet
is,
away
well,
was what was going to help us? No. Wearing a mask that don't work, that was going to help us? No. So you still have to wear a mask when you go into a hospital to get therapy or whatever you want to go get because of COVID concerns. But you can go everywhere else and not have to wear one because they're not concerned about it. Why? Because masks don't work. They didn't work.
You don't know that?
My wife and child both got COVID.
Okay, I get that.
And
but
we're
at
both
the very
vaccinated. Then they gave it to me. I got COVID after them. The vaccinated ones gave it to me. The protocols didn't work. And my IRA is in the crapper.
Okay. And that's the president's fault. It's
believe a lot
not
of
the
this
people
is.
in the stock market. You know, and that's the other thing. People, I'm
Build back
I'm
better.
in the start.
So
I'm in
far,
the
it's
stock market.
destroying everything.
It hasn't even started yet.
We have to take a break.
Let's do it.
We got the band Ghostastic coming up in just a little bit.
We'll be back.
So
It's not like we don't have more to talk about.
you can comment if you'd like on Facebook, YouTube, whatever.
Or
We're
you
live.
can stop punching the little buttons and texting and pick up the phone and talk
You
to
can
us.
call. The number's up there, 216-435-5249, and then hit 713 as soon as it picks up. We're live on Facebook, YouTube, and Twitch. We'll podcast this afterwards. Spotify, Amazon, Apple Podcasts, Pocket Cast, Anchor FM, iHeartRadio,
We're everywhere.
Google. We're all over the place. So you can catch the
We
show.
will find you.
We will. We'll be right back.
Trust Joe's Lakewood Computer at 14035 Madison in Lakewood. They have over 30 years of professional service, handling laptop and desktop repair services, virus removal, data migration. You can trust them with hardware updates to your computer's memory and hard drive. Call 216-651-3880. Whether you need a simple Windows reinstall or you're interested in the latest in computers or gaming, call Joe's Lakewood Computer at 216-651-3880. Aaron T & Signs has become your complete one-stop sign shop. Call Jimmy at 216-299-9344. Their friendly and professional staff can and will help you design and build your company brand and identity from start to finish. One Stop means you get the complete package from one location: custom logo designs, vehicle graphics, banners, t-shirts, storefront marquees, and so much more. Aaron T & Signs, 4883 Turney Road, 216-299-9344.
And we are back on the Seth Williams Show with Mike Cheselka. Facebook, YouTube, Twitch. Like I said before, you can find the podcast pretty much wherever you would like to find it. We are joined by a couple of the guys from the band Ghostastic.
Yes.
Yep.
Very excited.
Welcome.
What up? What up?
We just wanted to play the music wars for the best.
going on?
Hold on. We were really enjoying your conversation prior to this.
You were
When you're getting deep in,
Yeah.
get deep in because
deep into politics?
you're both in the same, sort of on the same boat, but you have conflicting opinions, and you don't want it to be an echo chamber. So I appreciate that.
Thank you.
Well, we had a couple of texts coming in. They're enjoying the back and forth as well.
The banter was nice.
Well, here's the other thing. When we started this show, Seth and I both said, what you have now that passes for talk is people sitting at home like bobbleheads because they like what they're hearing. You don't get both sides all the time like that, and that's what we need.
I remember as a child, I used to
Introduce
watch.
yourselves
Okay,
first.
okay,
before
let's-
we get going.
We're not going to deviate. Okay, my name's Adamo Facella, a.k.a. singer, producer, creator of Ghostastic, which is a band, and it also so happens to be a paranormal investigative and paranormal enthusiast group that I'd like to call it.
yeah.
Where
Investigators.
my band isn't really part of, but I was doing prior to all the music stuff. But I've been doing the music stuff for many years.
Cool.
Years. So it's all encompassing. And this is Caleb Bartell. He is longtime friend.
Long time. We've been killing Ghostastic for a long time. The stage show is sick. You guys see it coming out. By the way, 21st here at the Foundry, we're gonna kill Billy Morris and everybody. I don't know if anybody. knows that yet.
We'll
You're
plug
gonna
the show.
kill him?
We'll,
Like,
we're
literally
going
kill
to
him.
kill Billy Morris as a part of the stage show, which is going to be super entertaining.
Like we have something so planned for you people. Like it's like this is our season.
Tis
Okay,
the
so-
season.
so-
Tis the season.
So you were
Oh,
saying
speak
before.
of the devil.
You were saying before. Younger perspective on what's going on in this country today.
Oh yeah. So we'll talk about the show. We'll talk about the
Yeah.
paranormal stuff because it's Halloween and
Right.
all that, and this is our favorite time of the year. My favorite time of the year. Yeah, and no, but I was listening earlier about all the topics you were brushing on, and I agree with both sides on a lot of the issues that you were talking about. The protocols didn't really work.
How old
but,
are you?
39.
39. So yeah, he's closer to my age, and
I can hear Triv in the background like.
I can hear a lot of stuff in the background.
Yeah, echo from time to time.
There you go. You know, just,
No, but if when it comes to like I don't know, I was just
I grew up listening to you guys, you and Triv.
That's awesome.
I was picking up on little parts of like what you're saying about like the presidencies and all that stuff, and how the presidents, whether they're Democratic or Republican, it really doesn't matter at the top level, which is 100% true. You could trace those things back to all sorts. The Bushes, back to Prescott Bush. He was part of the Skull and Bones Society. They have a whole different agenda for this planet. It has nothing to do with us.
Yeah, see,
And
he's
if
got
you-
he got it all. He's got the Skull and Bones and everything figured out.
There you go.
No, but there's this stuff that you just.
I agree.
It's the great big festering neon distraction that we're talking about right now.
Thank you.
But you really need to understand that what you need to take a big step back and look at the big picture. And as much as you want to get absorbed in the politics, which I have for many years, in order to seek happiness for yourself, you kind of have to ignore it unless you're getting paid to do it. Because as a species, fundamentally, as human beings, we're flawed. And when we're given too much power, we do the wrong thing. And that's what's always going to happen at the top. That's why capitalism, none of them work flawlessly. Capitalism, obviously, is probably the best model. But you give too much power to communists, and they're going to single-handedly destroy the country in one swoop.
But you know
capitalism
what?
has kind of got its checks and balances, but
When you do away with any regulation that's there to protect you from monopolies, capitalism gets pretty nasty too.
yeah, I'd call that a corporatocracy then. It's a
Thank
little
you.
different than capitalism.
Thank you very much.
And then there's vulture capitalism. But that comes along with people who are the people who have the innate drive to conquer. Like in the past, we had literally conquerors, Genghis Khan, Alexander the Great. We write them as positive people, sort of, in the history books, but you're going to remember them always because they did amazing things, not creatively, but like they created a lot of chaos in the midst of all that. Anybody who has that type of drive has got this new modern day value. It's a more civil approach, but it's still let's just swallow everything up and become as powerful as you could possibly be. You're always going to get that on the top, and no matter what you do, you're never going to fix the human species because it's fundamentally flawed.
And Ghostastic, you'll always hear the lyrics.
I do write about this stuff in my lyrics as well.
I want to have whatever he's having because I don't have to drive tonight, so I think that I'm gonna go.
I'm really tired. I have Benadryl, man. I'm like,
it's the Benadryl.
It's the Benadryl.
You're not supposed to mix
actually,
that with
Mike-
Tennessee sour mash.
I was a nice lady today. I mean, we went in a hay. All right, I have this is my downfall. I have a problem with hay. Okay?
He's all right.
I was sneezing and I feel like
He's got hay.
Yep. Hay fever.
hey.
He's got
So,
hay
boys,
vodka
like,
fever.
You know, the conversation that you guys go through, and like seeing you guys progress through seeing you guys try to considerate each other.
Yeah,
is
we do.
the most beautiful. No,
Considerate all you
I
guys.
want to make considerate each other. You guys are. I've listened to you for the last 10 years.
Yeah.
Trev. I've
appreciate
listened to you. Your comedy. I'm a big fan of both of you, and this is killer right now. Like this is one of my biggest.
He's
dreams.
fanboying big time,
Yeah,
which is good.
fanboying.
I appreciate
no,
that,
because I grew up. I had a great face for radio. So. No, I was.
Who are you
thought,
talking
like,
about?
Man, you know, there's, like I
Me.
grew up listening to Trip, and like you were always there, and you guys were there, and like.
I thought he was
anytime
going to
there's
say.
a
I thought he was going
bang-
to say something like Great Lakes
But you
for
got
radio.
the audience in the palm of your hands right now because they're all staring at their screen going. So while you have their undivided attention, share a ghost story
Yeah,
or at
so
least
where you
tell
guys
us
been?
where you're playing next week.
Segue. All right. So first we'll start with the fact that the paranormal thing has always been a part of my life and our lives in general because we grew up together. We've known each other for 30 some odd years now. 30 years, I would say.
Okay.
And when I was a teenager, when I first got my license, I'd drive carloads of us to like haunted places. Now this is before social media would kind of ruin the spots that were of urban legend
Right,
because nowadays if you find a spot, it's gone like that, or the cops have already taken over, or it's been destroyed. Well, we found out about a place called. Well, you always hear about it, local lore. I'm sure everybody who's watching has heard of Helltown, which is like a local kind of haunted area that we used to go to when we'd drive down there when we were kids.
Okay.
You'd go to what's called the end of the world. Are you familiar with any
No,
of
where's
this?
Helltown?
Okay,
No.
so Helltown is part of Boston Township, which is
Okay.
there's a lot of urban legend behind it. But it's kind of a spooky place because the whole town has been abandoned. There was not the whole town, but there's big chunks of it that have been just leveled and have just been overgrown with woods. I don't know exactly what policy caused that to happen, but it did. And we used to film this stuff as kids on a camcorder. And now, fast forward to 2018, I decided I was producing music for other people and other projects, and I moved overseas for a little bit and was doing some stuff when I was living in England, but I don't know if you could necessarily call it musical related at the time. But I decided at a certain point, I'm like, when I get sick of doing all that music stuff, which I'm not, because I'm totally fully on board and back into it, I decided to put together a documentary of a paranormal investigation and put it on YouTube. That was my goal.
Nice.
So I did some grassroots promoting on some Facebook groups and stuff, and then I ended up filming at the Fantasy in Lakewood, which is a venue that was on the Bio channel, which has now been reabsorbed into A&E. It's just part of A&E.
They're redoing that.
Yeah, I don't know if they're gonna bring back the Bio channel, but there was some real haunted stuff that happened there. Yeah. And so
once again, I hate to, but I'll remind you. Tell us a ghost story.
This is where the ghost story starts. So the place has been notoriously haunted. I did a documentary there.
Okay.
And so when I filmed there, the owners, who are a little quirky, that'd be an understatement.
Right.
Yeah, to own a haunted place, but
they told me about multiple deaths that have happened in the venue, around the venue, stabbings, shootings, and what have you. As we were filming, if you watch, it's on YouTube if you want to watch, but I'll summarize it. There was people talking when nobody was there. Nice. Lights were being turned off. Somebody threw something at me downstairs in the basement, and you literally hear something crash to the ground on the stage in the main area in the back. Now, I could tell you stories for days, because I've been to places all over the world, in Germany and England and Spain, New York, Ohio.
Just even in the area, in the local area.
The local area is a lot.
We've had so much activity in the local area. It's so wild. People are like, hey, this is a sham. No, it's not. We actually have to go there and feel that a spiritual thing. And I cried that one day. I was like, wow, that I actually felt wow.
Here's one that might
it was tough,
spook your
I'm
listeners.
not used to that, and it's oof, I gotta be a man today.
We had
I really felt like they was so cold.
He's got a little
hay fever.
Sensitive. Yeah. It's hay fever mixed with
he's a little sensitive to the spiritual stuff.
Yeah, there's certain levels to it. Some people can actually see
I watch
things.
a lot of the ghost shows, so I'm into that kind of stuff. Do you guys use the ghost hunting equipment? What do you guys?
I have some equipment. Yeah, I have equipment.
I feel
SB7.
sick in certain places. I feel sick. I'm like this. I don't feel. This is bad. This is a bad area. I don't feel good.
Good energies, bad energies. But oftentimes I'll bring somebody who is on that level of comprehension. There's I was pitched on a few shows for the Travel Channel and for Discovery and A&E over the past couple of years, but it's been really hard to get a show to stick with COVID and everything.
With all local stuff we're doing, we're gonna be doing new stuff. We're gonna be Steiner Park again.
Yeah, we're doing some. So in the interim, I'm with the production company right now out of LA, but in the interim, it seems like it's kind of fizzled out. They signed a bunch of shows in 2018 and 19, so we've just been doing a lot of the stuff independently, like on my TikTok, which is kind of crazy. If you go to Ghostastic on TikTok, you'll see all kinds of crazy shit. But
check that out.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, Ghostastic all over the place. Instagram, Spotify for the music, and I promise you, this is not I'm not parlaying the music with the paranormal. I think it's more or less the other way around. The most insane thing that we had happen just happened last year when we went to PA, and we went to it was like a crime scene.
It was a crypt.
We went to this girl's house, and I found out about her house through somebody I work with at this club that I was DJing at. She said her husband passed away in the basement, and she told me the details on the situation, but I have a medium who lives in Tampa, and I tell her nothing when I show up at places, just to see if she'll pick up. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like a double blind
Sure,
thing.
sure.
So we go there. I'll tell you what happened, and then I'll tell you what she told me without me even explaining this to her. And this is all on documented on YouTube and Instagram and TikTok. You can see the documentary on this. We show up, and there is a mattress outside. They had just taken out. The guy died 8 months ago. It was soaked in blood and bodily fluids because he bled out, and he was there for a while before they found him. And I was just like, Jesus, what the hell did we just walk into? This is not
fresh.
Yeah.
That was fresh.
this is not what we were expecting. So
Wow.
we end up doing a tour around the house, filming. Then she explains to me that her dad also died in the house like 6 years prior to cancer, natural causes. The gentleman who died in the basement, which was her estranged husband, also it was a accidental overdose, which happens a lot these days with fentanyl.
How do you bleed out from an accidental overdose?
Well,
blood.
this is where apparently when you overdose on fentanyl,
Yeah.
You bleed out.
you throw up
Oh, my
everything,
God.
and then when you die, everything comes out. No matter what. So you're getting a combination of all sorts. Okay,
Sure.
not to get into great detail. I don't want to.
Don't have to. Everybody
what it is.
listening can figure that out.
Fresh scene. We were there, and she was so emotional, and it, like I think it moved us for the first time. Like we were like,
Yeah.
that was.
Well, the paranormal part comes in when I called Connie. We did a walk through the house. We started asking questions using this thing called an SB7, which scans through radio frequencies really fast.
Okay.
But sometimes you can catch a full phrase going over multiple stations, which makes no sense. And so they assume that kind of taps into that world. Well, amidst all these other experiments that we had done, one in particular where somebody had said we should. Caleb's like we should start. Somebody mentioned that there might be some coins or something hidden because we had somebody who was kind of a medium there, and she had said, "Oh, I feel like there might be some kind of hidden money or something in the house somewhere." And Caleb's like, "Why don't we just start tearing down the walls?" As soon as he said that, the lights went out, and then I panned over to the light switch, and the light switch wasn't touched, and it was back on. Just the lights just went off and on. It was crazy. Go ahead if you want to answer.
No.
Somebody answer questions, or-
That's beyond crazy.
Yeah,
We've
no
been in
kidding.
some-
So,
That's-
what
that-
did your psychic say when you called her?
That's the tip of the iceberg.
We've
Wait till I
been
tell
in-
you.
Yeah,
we've
yeah.
been in so many weird situations. I'm not gonna lie. Like we've been in like weird places. And like people always ask me like, why? Like, how do you do this? And what do you feel? And what like do you think that they are always gonna be around you? I'm like, absolutely, please.
Yeah,
like,
the spirit.
I want them around me. Like that's
He's talking about like being like
no being like
attachments.
You know, have, like if
But
somebody
let me finish telling what happened in PA. So when I called Connie,
oh my god.
I video called her, and this is being filmed as I'm doing it, so it's on the fly. Like you can see it as it
Right,
happens.
in
I
real
tell her
time.
nothing. I tell her nothing because sometimes she can't pick up on things. But this time it was unreal what happened. I called her and she's like, "Okay, I want it." She's like, "I'll sum it up for you guys." She said, "I was already feeling something when you hung up the last time I called you, so I wrote a few things down." And I said, "Okay, Connie, we're going to go into the basement now." All she knows is that somebody died in this house.
Right.
And earlier on in the episode, I'd called her once, and she was able to pick up on her dad and describe what he looked like and everything, which was kind of odd. So I knew we were kind of striking on something that might work on this investigation. So as I call her, I'm like, "Okay, I'm walking downstairs." I didn't tell her anybody died down there. I just said, "Hey, we're walking downstairs into the basement now." And she immediately says, "So I'm getting chills and I feel tingly, from head to toe. And I'm getting a name that starts with the letter D." And the guy's name was Danny.
Oh, I thought she was going to say dad.
His name was Daddy.
That's crazy.
I'm holding camera. I'm watching,
And of course I'm swearing up a
watching you-
storm.
I'm watching you tear.
Yeah, I freaked out at this point. I'm like,
It was
this is
so-
real. Well, she kept saying names, not Danny. His name was Danny Davis.
Right.
But she said the name Davis. So it
Wow.
got real at that point.
So do you guys do like if somebody calls you or contacts you on
we'll go in home.
your
We'll go
website
in-
or whatever?
Hey,
Can people get
by
a
the
hold of
way,
you to
we
do
will be
ghost
at your
hunting?
home if you need us. Call Ghostbusters 1025.
Okay, PP5122. No, we'll yes. It depends. We don't go to show up at anybody's house though, because I would prefer it to be something where there was a traumatic. If somebody had passed in your house or whatever, if somebody's getting tormented or something like
Right.
that, and there's like a terrible history to the home, and there's something written historically about the home, and you have first and last names to attach to who you believe it is, and photos and a history and a story about that person, that's enough for me to go there. But if you're just saying, "Hey man, this one time my lights turned off," or "this one time I heard a knocking," that's not going to cut it. So
I gotcha.
Yeah, but if her dad died in the house and then her former estranged husband, did she still live in that house?
So she moved out of the house, and when she was gone, that's when he died. So they were separated. He died. She came back to the house to get it sorted to sell. She didn't want to live there anymore. But she started to live there again at the time because they had people coming in and out and doing some work. That floor, the basement carpeting, there was a huge blood stain, and it looked like something was
For 8 months, it stayed there.
the stuff was still there to this
Wow.
to that day. So I don't know how people cope. You never know.
No, yeah.
So I can't judge.
Right,
I don't
right,
judge.
right.
But there was a big blood stain next to where the bed was, and there was like it looked like something was
someone died.
projectile vomited onto the dresser, and it was left there. Yeah, and the toilet. So they didn't know that though. They didn't see that.
No,
In
we
fact,
saw
we
that.
found that. Nobody had ever reported that.
Wow.
So when fast forward to even right after that, somebody was I'm on the phone with Connie and I'm flipping out because she said D for
Right.
Davis, right?
Right.
And then she said, I taste bile. She's like, I don't know why, but I taste bile in my mouth. And she's like, I've never actually physically tasted anything before, but she's like, it tastes like when you take Tylenol and you throw it back
Yeah,
up.
yeah.
Well, this dude was taking
I've been
pain pills.
accused of having that taste in my mouth just from talking to Tyrus, and that wasn't true.
Tyrus
is true.
Awesome. Hey, Tyrus, awesome. Thank you for coming
Big props to
out
Tyrus for
Awesome
coming on.
Fox
No,
News
big props to you guys for
contributor.
getting him on there.
Tyrus is awesome. One of my favorite Gutfeld Show. Not gonna lie, I listen to it.
Now I'm rethinking my outlook on life.
You know, thank you for having us here and talking about our ghost stories. There's so much that we have to say. Like you have no idea.
Yeah.
Like actually, Seth, I'm gonna take you on a ghost hunt.
I would love to go with you guys.
All right.
Or that's a plan then, man.
Although
We're
it's
going.
been 6 months since I've had a drink, I don't know if I could keep up in the car with you.
No,
Don't worry about me. I stay sober.
no,
You
man.
may want to wait till after you know how to drive.
Let's do. Seth, let's do a show.
I would love to go out. And
Like
do that
you
with
did a
guys.
crackhead in part. You
I did not
Butcher
do a
it.
crackhead.
No, he's never done a crackhead. He's not that
Never
way.
did a crackhead in Parma.
Don't lie.
Swear to God.
Whatever it was.
It was Brook Park.
Whatever it was. Let's do the ghost hunt, man. Let's do that.
She was kind of hot. It was late at night. I didn't know what I was doing.
Guys,
You know,
everybody tune into this show all the time, every week, every Monday. We guys do it every Monday.
For now, we'll get more days.
so you guys actually, I got to thank you guys because you guys performed for me for my
Yes.
benefits you guys.
Yeah, we
put on.
played the
man,
show
that's the
there.
first thing you
When I
want.
lost my leg, and it was very cool that you guys came out and did that, and I really
And we had the
appreciate that.
fireworks still.
Yeah, I gave you some fireworks.
We still have them. We plan
still
on
have
using them in a very rude and a disruptive way.
You guys have a show coming up though,
Yes, we do.
Yes.
and you
So-
guys put on a hell of a stage show
No
as
kidding.
well as everything.
Yeah, that's
that's
part
what
of
we
it.
do, man.
I pride myself on the production on the back end for the music itself, but we've brought up our live show big time. We've got a crazy light show where it's a costume contest as well. So if you're familiar with the
$100.
West Side,
$100.
Cleveland in Lakewood at the Foundry Concert Club, which is on 118th, between 118th and 117th in Detroit. October 21st, that's this Friday. We're playing a show
Tyrants.
with a bunch of bands. We're playing with Like Tyrants. I'm actually sporting his shirt right now.
Queens.
It's one of the bands that'll be there.
Ghostastic.
Quick Mystery, and Her Familiar, and Billy Morris is playing
Billy
it.
Morris is
Billy
blowing
Morris
out.
is going to be there playing it, and all the guys from the bands are going to be jumping on stage with Billy Morris's
It's gonna be
band
so crazy.
to help
Like,
play
you
in the.
have to go- like, you-
Hold on. So we could different members of different bands will all be playing together.
What day
It's
is
gonna be
it?
a party this Friday, October 21st.
At the
there's a
Foundry in
costume,
Lakewood.
There's a costume contest. You get $100.
How do
And
they
you
get tickets?
And you get swag from all the bands.
Can
as
they
well.
call ahead?
So here's the thing: it's first come, first serve, and that place is not the biggest.
No,
so
it's not. That's
gonna
why I
pack
asked.
Out. It's $5 to get in. There's just a door charge.
Okay.
At 6:30, the doors open. 7:30 goes up to $8. So early bird special, you get there for $5 between 6 and 7:30. But we'll be going till probably like 11.
Yeah, Billy Morris, man. I'll
That'll
tell you
work.
what, that guy
It's gonna be all
can.
night. It's
That guy can bring a crowd too.
No
Past
kidding.
couple shows
Yeah.
I've gone to see at Billy's.
No
I
kidding.
couldn't even get in.
We're
Yep.
gonna push, and then we're gonna push probably some of the people out to the parking lot area because we're gonna have like an area of chill out there. I guess I don't know. It's
Okay.
but to get in and see the show, it's gonna be tough to get there soon. The sooner you get there, the better.
We have to see it because it's one of the best shows that we've been planning this all of October and September. Like we're like, hey, we have a big show. This is a big show.
So we've been playing shows for about a little less than a year now as a band. I've been doing this actually started as a studio project, and then I ended up getting a deal with Imagine Records based on the music that I had just produced and created and sent out to them.
Was
So-
this home for you? Did you grow up here?
Cleveland?
Yeah.
Originally, I'm from Long Island, but I grew up in
Okay.
Cleveland.
All right.
I grew up in Cleveland, so half my
Spent some
family's
time
out
in
there.
England, so you've seen and traveled.
Well,
and,
Long Island, not New England. I lived in England.
Yeah, I know.
UK, and then I lived in Long Island I've been back and forth there.
okay.
You know, spent some time in a few different places.
I just asked because it's the same thing I asked Tyrus. When you travel, between the people you meet and the things you see and actually physically look at the world, then your
Perspective changes.
your
big time.
perspective changes.
You become a little more humble because you realize that there's no difference in people when you meet them in person.
Thank you.
It's just these fabricated ideas and this dichotomy that they create with the media. The media is obviously. get into
Scott
that.
sent a message in saying, "Glad to hear those fireworks I gave you are getting some good use." I was afraid that I was gonna blow off my other leg.
Right, there you go.
A brick of
Lose a
fireworks.
thumb.
She's like, let's just blow stuff up.
Well, because
He's
you
like,
got to
"Thank
remember,
for
like
helping
I
out
had
my leg."
just gotten out of the hospital when we had this benefit here.
So
And there
sick.
wasn't anybody on the floor
No,
of his
he was like,
hospital.
here's fireworks.
There wasn't anybody on the floor of the hospital that wasn't missing something.
That is
He
true.
was so genuine.
you know
so
what?
genuine,
So
man. It's
playing
like,
with
this-
fireworks just didn't seem like the right thing to do.
Seth, if you're there on the 21st, we'll blow off the whole.
See, that'd be.
brick.
I want to do that because
There you go.
I wanted to light those
We're gonna
fireworks
s-
that night.
We're gonna set them right next to you though,
I'm
and then we're gonna lock your wheels.
See how fast I can wheel away. Look, I got a leg. I don't know if I can run yet, but I'll get out of the way.
Yeah, you will.
Plus, his leg is metal. What are you gonna do? Blow it off? I mean, it's not gonna. It's gonna just.
Not gonna
No,
feel. You're
we'll
not
be
gonna feel a
alright.
thing. Don't
With
worry.
the kind of spirits they attract, the thing will just start lifting by itself.
God, I'm looking. I'd love to come out on Friday. I got to talk to the wife and see if
You're
we
gonna
can
go.
get out
You're
there.
gonna
Cool.
go something with us, man.
That I definitely want to do.
That'd be sick. All right.
The
gonna be
wife and I,
tricky. We'll
honestly,
figure
we
it out.
sit and watch ghost shows all the time, so it'd be
All
cool
right,
to go
one
out
other
with you
thing.
I've
guys.
listened to you all my life. Now you
What,
gotta listen to me.
one other thing, because it's no small feat, and you just said it in passing. Tell us about the best of the award you just won.
Oh, so the Cleveland Music Awards just began again.
Yeah.
And Mark, our friend Mark took care of it. Yeah. Mark Ross. He's in charge of this whole thing. He runs an award show on the West Coast, but he's originally from here. He moved back here.
Okay.
And started this big award show thing, Cleveland Music Awards, and we got nominated for Best Alternative Band, and I got nominated for Best Male Vocal, and we won Best Alternative Band.
Nice.
Cleveland. So
That's
that was-
Congratulations.
that was-
Congratulations.
Thank you. That was
Congratulations.
That was a group effort for all that. Definitely a group effort. For that.
And I looked you guys up on Spotify. You can
Oh, yeah.
catch you on Spotify as well.
If you could, I'm looking at the screen right now, so you see that word right above. You see that word right above our heads. It's Ghostatic. Ghostatic. It's one word. They share the S.
Social media, you can find us.
Yeah.
Did he spell it right on the screen?
Well, I put it up to him, so I don't know.
Okay, so
he
all
did.
the letters are there. They're just not in the right order.
It's
So-
spelled with a Q and a T on the screen, but it's supposed to be something totally different. So yeah, no, it should be okay, right? I can't see
Absolutely.
it.
Yeah, it's the logo, so.
It's the logo. You're fine.
All right. Yeah. So Friday the 21st,
Right?
Yes.
At the Foundry
Lakewood.
in Lakewood.
Looking forward. And what time does it start?
It starts. Doors are at 6:30.
Right.
$6:30. $5 to get in.
$5
fast.
at
$5
the
to get in.
door.
$4 if you bring a bloody mattress.
To investigate. It's,
Yeah.
It's an investigation thing.
yeah.
No, don't bring a bloody mattress.
I know.
Just say you're with the band, you get them free.
That's what I'm gonna do.
Great. I'm with you.
Nobody else can do that.
Band of
You
50.
need a lanyard?
I do need I love
Here,
lanyards.
Power of a lanyard. Oh, there you go. There's a Ghostatic.
See, that's
necklace
pretty
for you.
badass. I love that. That's cool.
That's
keep
for
it.
you, man. It's right off my
You
head.
want one?
Sure.
I don't have any more
These-
lanyards.
Hell, we're
Seriously,
giving you
dude.
Subway.
I
hats.
should.
It's a leg, all right?
You guys both get hats.
I know.
Sweet. I would love to support
I
this
support
company.
this?
I've never heard of them before. Who's this?
We appreciate you guys coming on
This is
tonight.
Store Brand Night. This is
Very,
great.
very nice. And again, looking forward to the
Thanks
show
for
on
having
Friday
us,
night.
seriously.
And if you want
You
to
guys
check
got
out
seriously,
what's the website if they want to check you out?
Ghostatic, anything.
Well, it's not necessarily a website. It's just you search the word Ghostatic on anything. If you want the link tree, it's drum.io/Ghostatic. But if you just go to one, you go to them all.
Go
Good.
to Facebook,
Okay.
check it out
Whichever
there.
one you're biggest fan, whichever one you use the most. Facebook has seemed to be blowing up a lot lately, and my TikTok is at like 130,000 or something like that.
I'm going to do that during the break. I'm going to
Okay.
There you go.
Band in Cleveland, I think.
Well,
think you already are.
have a great time when you go ghost hunting, searching, whatever. Let us know how the show's going, and then come back and we'll talk some more.
I'm going to
Yeah,
Facebook
absolutely.
Live
Take
it
it
when
with
we
us.
go.
Take it
General-
with us.
By the way, just general conversation. Gladly join you guys again. I like where it goes.
Yeah,
it's,
appreciate it.
It's
Thank you.
a breath of fresh air because it's kind of back in the day when my parents used to watch those like shows like CNN and
Yeah.
NBC. You would get conflicting
Yeah,
arguments. Now it's just an echo chamber.
I'm telling you.
Yeah.
And
You're
here's
right about
nice
that.
to have.
here's the thing that
They don't-
cracks
they don't-
me up the most.
And they know that I know why they do that.
Because I
now.
spent 25 years as a comic before I did anything serious. and travel, all that stuff. All of it's hip now and it's vogue. Everybody says, "Oh, it's a conspiracy theory." Oh, all those people think everything in the world is a conspiracy theory, and yet those same morons think Oswald acted alone.
Did you write like this?
The one, yeah, it's my handwriting.
What is calligraphy, man?
The one true conspiracy everybody thinks is a lie, and everything else is a conspiracy. Those people have to just wake up.
I have to be careful with some of the things I say because I don't know where my career is going to go.
There you go.
So I'm
Might
gonna.
wanna
But there are
hear.
things I know where
Get
I
old,
gotta
dude, you won't care.
zip my mouth on it where I can.
Check his handwriting out.
All right, we will take a break. We'll be right back. Ghostatic, thank you so much, and looking forward to the show on
having
Friday
us. Thank
night at the Foundry.
October 21st at the Foundry in Cleveland. You better be there because it's going to pack out.
We'll be back.
It'll be fun. Liquid Lifestyles offers premier swim lessons for kids, babies, competitive swimmers, adults, and triathletes. If a picture's worth 1,000 words, go to liquidlifestyles.com and take a look at that picture. It's the first commercially approved shipping container swim school in the country. 975 Bassett Road, Suite D. If I could dig down deep in my Liquid Lifestyle, Bassett Road, Suite D in Westlake. Call 440-517-SWIM. 440-517-7946. If I could dig down deep in my heart, feelings would flood on the page. Would it satisfy you? Would it slide on by you? Would you think the boy's insane? He's insane. I said, I know it's smoking rock and roll, but I like it. I said, I know it's smoking rock and roll, but I like it. Like it, yes, I do. Award-winning flavor that melts in your mouth. Cater your next event. Smokin' rock and roll, 605 Clegg in Bay Village, 216-539-2239.
Right back. The Seth Williams Show with Mike Cheselka, live on Facebook, YouTube, and Twitch. That was fun.
Yes.
It was fun.
The pendulum swings from one side to the other on
It
this
does.
show.
A lot of comments regarding
I bet.
the Ghostatic, and actually looking forward to the show. I would go to that show. I don't know what time my wife's going to get home, but I think that would be a fun one. They do a good live show. It's very
They
entertaining
were
to watch.
really good for your benefit. That's the first and only
Yeah.
time I've seen them.
They were
And
awesome.
that was probably half of the production value because they couldn't do all that stuff outside.
Right. So that should be fun. I love your calligraphy, though. It's good.
Yeah.
Oh, God. It's been a hell of a show so far.
I think.
Tyrus, we want to thank Tyrus again from Fox News calling in once again.
Yes.
Big guest today. Tyrus Big and Live, October 28th at Weymouth Country Club. Go to medinagop.org to get tickets to that. Should be a fun night. I think it'll be fun. I want to go to that.
I'm interested
Pretty bad.
too.
We've been talking about a lot of stuff about politics and that sort of thing. We still need people to call in.
Yeah.
We can get back to what we were talking about before, how Biden is destroying everything. And you don't think so.
Very true.
216-435-5249, extension 713 if you want to talk about anything you want to talk about. Guardian starting up in just a little bit. 7 o'clock start tonight, right? 7:07, I believe.
7:07, yep.
In New York, and a little bit worried about that. Browns,
Oh.
what can you say about the Browns yesterday? If you want to call and talk about any of this stuff, call now. The number's at the bottom of your screen. 216-435-5249, and then hit 713 when the line picks up. Anything you want to talk about, you can call in.
Why don't you also take a minute and tell people what we're doing next
Well,
week?
that's what I was just about to do. You
There you
read
go.
my mind. All the psychic energy in here from Ghostatic is bringing you closer to me. I feel it. Next Monday, we're actually going to do something, I think, special.
Yes.
We're approaching the year anniversary of the unfortunate passing of Triv, and I believe that was the 28th. And we're not obviously on the 28th, so the 24th, on that Monday night, we are going to do a Triv tribute show.
Yes. First annual.
Yes, we are going to have many guests on. We're going to play some old sound stuff. We're
Yep.
going to, I guess, rejoice in the life of Triv and remember.
Celebrate the laughter and all we learned.
Absolutely. And so I think it's going to be a good show, I believe. I hope it is.
And Well,
If
the
not,
reason
he's going to haunt me forever because that would be what he
one
would
of the
do.
reasons we're bringing it up now is you're cordially invited to be a part of that show. If you
Absolutely.
want to call up with a story, a question, or with all the psychics we have on, a question you might still like to ask Mr. Trevisano and see if he answers.
Yeah, we not promising that one, but yeah,
No,
but we would definitely be taking your calls if you want to call in to, again, just give your thoughts or
Yep.
just reminisce, whatever you want to do. That's fine. But again, we will have guests calling in. I guess I could say some of the guests
Yeah.
calling in, right? I think partying.
How about Marty Allen and Paul Rattle?
Yeah, they're going to be calling in. There you go. Good for me. I guess I had too much of what he was having.
Yeah. Contact.
Jim Renacy is going to be calling in as well.
Yep.
Glenn Forbes is going to be part of the show.
And some people that we are trying to still hook
I'm
up
still
that haven't
contacting a
confirmed
lot
yet.
of people.
Absolutely.
And so we will be doing that next Monday. People are texting in, Triv was the greatest. Yes, he was. And that's why we're doing it. Some people, I wouldn't say we're giving me crap about doing it, but some people are saying, oh, I have to do it. The show is inspired by Triv.
Yep.
And it's something that I feel that I need to do to honor him. I wish I would have had more time with him. I had a lot of years.
Yeah.
And I'll be honest, a lot of those years, he didn't like me even a little bit, which is, I understand, because he wanted the best for his show. And sometimes I didn't do the best for his show. But in the past few years, we definitely got a lot closer. And, and I miss him literally every day.
Yeah.
I miss doing that show with him every single day. I don't necessarily miss where I did it, but I do miss doing that show with him. And, I think that it's important to do that next Monday. I wish we
wasn't-
could do it for 4 hours.
Yeah,
I have enough stuff to do for 4 hours.
Amen to that. I didn't have the opportunity you did as far as being part of the show or on that regular basis, but every year around this time, we also did the benefit for
Oh, yeah.
Coats for Kids, and so I'm going to miss that too.
You were a big part of that, and he loved when you did it. I mean,
Yeah.
he really did. I hated when you did it, just to be honest. When you did those Coach for Kids benefits, it was like a nightmare for me because I was backstage trying to keep stuff on time.
Right.
And next thing you know, you and Triv on stage together, and that show was going until 1 o'clock in the morning because it was one joke after another. You guys were just kept going back and forth. And, I mean, it was great stuff, but me as trying to get it wrapped up was hell. Jim Scott, first-time caller Jim, will also be calling in.
Good.
Hopefully we can get his wife Sandy to call in as well. Somebody said, why wouldn't you do it? To hell with those people saying why. I miss Triv every day. He's the voice in my head now. What are you doing? That's somebody right there. I won't say his name, but that's somebody right there that knows Triv.
Right.
And that would be like the call that you would get on a day-to-day basis. Phone would ring. It could have been, usually it was like 7 o'clock in the morning on a Saturday or something. And Lou, first thing out of his mouth, what are you doing? And that was all he would say.
Yep.
What are you doing? And I miss those things. I miss those conversations. I miss those things that would happen early in the morning before the call for the show would happen. I miss those calls during the day. I mean, people won't believe it, but he would actually come pick me up and we'd go get ice cream before the show would start because he just would like to go get ice cream.
There you go.
And we'd go up to Dairy Queen and get ice cream cones. And there's two guys, Triv and myself, driving around just eating ice cream cones. It was bizarre, but it was some of the best times of my life.
Yeah.
And so I do miss him every day, and I think it would be it's an important
Yeah,
show
we're
for
looking
me
forward to
do
doing the
next
show.
Monday. And so I want everybody out there to be a part of it as
And
well.
I do too.
So we are looking forward to that.
How many
Again,
people?
you can call now, 216-435-5249, and hit 713 when the phone picks up. We are taking your calls to talk about pretty much whatever you want to talk about at this point. Sorry if I seem a little bit emotional when talking
No,
about that
please.
show, but it's hard to believe it's been a year.
That's the other thing I was going to say. It was quite a shock, and then to find out it was a year ago. Wow.
Yeah, and
Make the most of the time you've got with the family and friends you've got, because time just
and then everything that
flies.
happened after that. I mean, after he had passed, and everybody's. If you knew Triv was like the center of a universe.
Yep.
And everything kind of spun around him. And then when he was gone, all of a sudden that universe just kind of didn't know what to do. And I'm talking about everybody from the people that were closest to him to every single listener out there that loved his show. During the week, it was a universe that was him.
Yep.
And then everything was out of control. The radio station went out of control. Then I got fired. I got COVID. I lost a leg. Lost my job. Everything. It was just an out of control reaction after he was gone. But he was so important, not to just my career, but to me as a person. I looked up to what he did and wanted to be like him. And nobody will ever be like him.
No. And again, we've said it before. It's what we talked about before we launched this show. And that was the fact that he was able to, every ingredient went into the pot and he knew just how to stir it. And between both sides, tolerance, attitude, sense of humor, yeah. And he was definitely, you knew you were listening to Cleveland.
Yeah, somebody just sent a message in. Triv was definitely Mr. Cleveland. I miss hearing his voice. I look forward to hearing his thoughts on events and news of the day.
I think he'd be wishing the Guardians really good luck tonight.
I think he would, too.
I think he would just be pulling his hair out over the Browns.
We even got in. We'll get onto the Guardians and the Browns here now, because but we'll do the Triv Tribute Show next Monday night.
Yep.
But one of the things that he said when the Guardians changed their name was, I think he struggled for a few as far as the name change. I think he really did. But he also said, I'm not going to let this take away my joy of baseball.
Right.
And for the team. And so, I don't think he was happy about the name change.
No, but he
I don't
would
think
have been.
anybody was really happy about the name change except for the 8 people that protest and Major League Baseball.
Right.
But I think all in all, he wasn't going to let the joy of the game and baseball go
And
away.
I really
just
think
because
he
of the
would have
name
liked the
change.
chemistry of this team, too, between the rookies, between the way they play, the hustle, Francona, we get the best manager. A lot of stuff going for it. So take a second and let's bring home a winner tonight.
Somebody texted me and said, got me tearing up. I miss that friggin' guy. I will be there next Monday.
Good.
So we will
Tell
have
your friends. It's
another guest next Monday. Yeah.
Yep.
I think it's going to be important for a lot of people to even get some stuff off their chest. If that's what you want
Yeah,
to
if
do, you
that's
can call and do that as well.
Yep.
So Guardians tonight, 7 o'clock. What's your prediction?
8-3 Cleveland.
You think they can pull this one out?
Tonight, I think, is the game they hit like nobody believes they can hit like.
Well, they haven't done it yet.
I think this is the game that they hit. And I am going to one of the best parts of it will be watching everybody on the post-game show on TBS. Just sitting there crying. That'll be fun to watch.
Somebody said the Facebook signal was lost at 6:33 p.m. So if that's the case, we will continue to work on that.
Yeah.
But you can continue to watch on YouTube and everywhere else.
Everywhere else it's reposted.
Triv represented it, the best of Clevelanders, extremely hardworking, take no crap attitude, yeah, generous, funny, and kind. We all loved him. My prediction for tonight's game, man, I'm hoping I'm wrong, but I'm going to say 3-2 Yankees.
Ouch.
I'm hoping that I'm wrong.
No,
But they're in New York. It's a big stage for a lot of young guys.
right.
But maybe they're young enough to not care about that stage.
There you go.
But it could be overwhelming. Yeah, the history there, it could be a tad bit overwhelming for a young team like this. The Browns. We got to talk about the Browns a little bit. We haven't talked about the Browns at all. You can call 216-435-5249 and then hit 713 when you pick up. Somebody said, I think the stream crashed.
And not to not to slight anybody, you know what happens Wednesday night, don't you? At 7:30.
What's that?
Cavaliers tip off in Toronto.
Looking forward to the
Basketball
Cavs.
started.
But what did you think about that Browns game on Sunday?
I
mean, I don't know what there is to say about it, but they suck.
It sounds to me like once the suspension came out at 11 games, a lot of guys cashed it in.
I saw the best shirt the other day. Joe Burdick, one of our sponsors.
Yeah.
Makes the great custom flags that you see on the stage. He said it was a jersey. It said defondled, number 4 Cleveland Browns jersey.
Yep.
That's great. But if we had a defondled in, whether you like him or not, I think this team would be a hell of a lot better. This quarterback isn't all he's cracked up to be. Jacoby Brissett was not the answer to this team, even as a backup.
No.
And right now, I think that this team is struggling because, well, the team is struggling in all aspects of the game.
Right.
I mean, the defense isn't half of what they said it was going to be. These cornerbacks they drafted couldn't cover me if I was out there. So far, they have not lived up to the expectation. Myles Garrett, great. He had 2 sacks. And I'm glad he's the all-time sack leader. There couldn't be somebody more undeserving, in my opinion, than Myles Garrett to be the most the sack leader for this Browns franchise. To take over Clay Matthews. That's ridiculous. I mean, he has sacks. He has a lot of them. But in times that nobody cares about having a sack. They aren't in big moments of the game. They aren't when we really need him to come through. And so I'm tired of hearing about how great Myles Garrett is. Slow your car down and get a sack when it counts. This defense looks terrible. This offense looks almost even worse. Yeah. So I don't know what you do. This last game was a debacle. And I don't know how they move forward. But luckily, the rest of the division so far kind of sucks.
That's very true, too. And I just don't see how they think they can just turn it on like a light switch and go, undefeated the last 7 games?
Yeah, I don't know how they're going to do that. And this game, 6 we just played? And Deshaun comes back after 11?
Yep.
Whew. Yeah, this was a wasted season if they don't turn things around quick. But now what? We got a few games coming up in the division.
Yes, yeah. The hardest ones, the ones you have to win. Congratulations, we just finished the easy part of the schedule.
We lost a game to a guy named Bailey Zappi.
Yep.
From Central Michigan, right?
Yeah.
I mean, the guy is terrible. Well, apparently he's not that terrible.
Not that terrible, and he's got some good coaching and a great quarterback room, obviously, because the receivers all ran routes and got open, and he got them the ball. That was...
Now, if you make big changes, what big changes would you make to this team? You getting rid of the defensive coordinator?
No.
You got to do something radical at this point.
Yeah.
What are you going to do? You can't stand by and just let this team go the way that it
Start
is.
quarterback number 3.
All right. What do you do with the defense? They can't cover anybody. I mean, maybe that's the players, or maybe it's the schemes. I don't know what they're doing, but they're giving up big plays. We can't stop you. We have a better shot at stopping the run. I don't know.
I don't know. You watch and it's like you practiced all week to do this.
216-435-5249. Hit 713 when the phone picks up. 216-435-5249. Talk about the Browns. You want to talk about the Guardians? Give us a call right now. We'll take a quick break. Try to see if the stream is back up, and we'll be right back.
I'm back. Let me introduce you to Charlie's Auto Repair. Any car, any truck, any problem, Charlie's does it right. You know how it is. Check your engine light comes on, you put air in the tires, the light's still on. 216-470-0170. Charlie's Auto Repair, 13728 Madison in Lakewood. Charlie can do it all, from small engine repairs to fleet maintenance and system diagnostics. Winter's coming. Call Charlie's Auto Repair for snow plowing needs. 216-470-0170. Let Charlie make your car great again. We display a Joe Burdick custom flag prominently on our set. Each flag is handcrafted to reflect the imperfect perfection, making each customized piece of patriotic wall art unique. This is a local small business, veteran-owned and proud. Joe Burdick creates symbolic artwork that is built to last. Display your pride, spirit, and patriotism by calling 440-305-2065 and let Joe's flag serve you. 440-305-2065.
Does your business or group order custom t-shirts? Tired of overpaying, waiting for quotes, or slow turnaround? Wolf Creek Media is a family-owned company with a simple upfront pricing that will save you time and money. With a 30-piece minimum order, you get a logo on a quality brand tee for $5.75 each. That's right, your one-color imprint on a quality Gildan tee for $5.75 each. Don't have a logo? No worries. Wolf Creek Media has an in-house designer to make it easy for you to get your brand out to the public. So if your business, group, event, or brand needs great tees at a great price, call Wolf Creek Media at 330-353-9695 or look them up on Facebook at Wolf Creek Media. Call 330-353-9695 today to get the best tees and hoodies for less.
Dude, imagine how good you could look if you call Mario's Barbershop at 7526 Broadview Road. A great haircut at a great price. Guys, $17 to look your best. Seniors only pay $15. Call 216-520-1977. Mario's is a first-rate barbershop with a big heart. Next month they start a toy drive so the Kentucky families that got flooded out might still give their kids a Christmas. Mario's Barbershop. Let a good man help you look your best.
All right. Kind of live. We're back on the Seth Williams Show with Mike Cheselka. Facebook apparently has crashed.
Wow.
I don't know why or when, but it doesn't appear to be on our end anyways. So YouTube, Twitch, still going,
everywhere else,
I guess. And then you could watch a show afterwards, which hopefully more people will do anyways on iHeart, Google, Amazon, everywhere else. So we continue forward, and hopefully that stream comes back on before we end the show. But
yeah, because we got to do a show for everybody that's going to watch everywhere else through the course of the week, too.
Yeah,
so.
and, you know, I'm...
Hi, welcome to the show now, folks.
But, again, back to the Browns. I don't know how you fix it. I don't know what you do. Other than, who do we got next week? Is it Baltimore?
Yeah, Baltimore, then Cincinnati, then Pittsburgh again.
I mean, you can... I don't know. Baltimore's pretty good. Yeah, I don't know. I don't see a way out of this, to be honest. I don't see how you even continue forward. Just end it, pack it up, put the cleats away, and go home, call it a season. Try it again next week, or try it again next year.
We've been saying that a lot.
We got a text from somebody that says, works good on YouTube, so that is good.
Oh, good. So we're fine.
We're still fine.
Yeah.
So we continue forward. Guardians tonight, Browns suck. You can call us 216-435-5249 and hit 713.
You do anything for Halloween after the show?
For Halloween?
Yeah.
No. I'm going to dress up, actually. I am. I have a costume picked out.
Oh, on the show?
Yeah.
Okay, cool.
I'm coming as a crippled guy in a wheelchair. It's the first time I'm going to be that for Halloween.
Halloween for me used to be an excuse to wear a codpiece.
Not anymore?
Not anymore.
No? Too old, or what happened?
No, it's just, don't get invited to those kind of parties anymore.
I've heard that the older you get, the more things sag down, so you might need a bigger one.
Well, that's fine.
But, you Italians, I've heard things about you guys anyways. Uh-huh. But, yeah, I'm going to go as a crippled guy in a wheelchair. I think I'm going to get a really, really cool, like, prosthetic leg-looking thing for my costume.
There you go. I do have one question about Halloween today.
Yeah.
All year long, you walk around and you walk past on your way to cash, and they sell candy bars that you can kill people with.
Yeah.
You Baby Ruth, you freeze the thing, it's like, whoosh, ow.
Yeah.
And then Halloween rolls around, and they throw 100 candy bars in a bag this
small.
big and call this the fun size.
That's not the fun size.
Now, ladies, when was this ever the fun size?
Ask my wife. It's definitely not the fun size. But
so,
I
and
guess
Halloween was so many. How many people out there listening now remember going back home to get a second pillowcase because of all the stuff that you were collecting from your little neighborhood?
See, I think the screwed up thing about like this year's Halloween compared to like a lot of Halloweens past,
right?
If you were like handing out candy to kids, you have no idea who's coming to your door. And it's not because of the masks that they're wearing. It's because you have no idea whether that's a boy or a girl or either one. You don't know what it is at this point.
Not that confusing.
It is very confusing these days. There is a woman who's actually putting forth a law that says that if you don't affirm your child's gender change at the age of like 9, 10, 8, whatever, that you can go to jail for child abuse.
Okay. And like we talked about, the mere fact that everybody's upset at the woman or at the kids and isn't upset with the little tablet or cell phone that tells that little kid that maybe they should reconsider, because they certainly didn't learn that stuff at their family's dinner table. So if they're learning it off of social media, that's why I keep telling everybody who's a Second Amendment enthusiast, and I believe in it too, but if you are armed and dangerous, take out your cell phone.
All I said is Halloween could be a little bit confusing for people handing out candy. You see a princess coming up to the door, you don't know whether it's a prince or a princess.
Well, all you can do is give them a piece of candy. They're still kids, so they walk up to get the candy and they leave.
I'm just saying, I don't know what the costume is. So.
Oh, okay.
But, I'm not.
We used to get candied apples. People would bake things.
Oh man, I remember
now, if you take out a piece of a cookie or something homemade, your family would dive on it.
Yeah, it's thrown in the garbage.
Touching it. Yeah.
I mean, I remember when I was a kid. I grew up in Cleveland Heights, so there was a house that was a really nice, big house, and it was an older gentleman that lived there. And he would invite the kids into his house. You could actually use the restroom.
Right.
He'd have like cider out there for you, and all kind of stuff. He'd have like a buffet of candy that you could pick something from, and it was like the greatest house you could possibly go to. Now I think that guy's in jail. I think he's doing 30 to life for handing out candy to kids.
Or having a camera in the bathroom.
Well, no, he wasn't like that, but that's what you think nowadays.
That's the thing. Exactly. That's what I'm saying.
And it's totally, but I have to admit, having a child, even, when my daughter's like 15 now, but when she was younger and she would come home with certain kind of candy, I'd go through it all.
Right.
And I'd throw out some stuff.
Generally,
I'd throw out the stuff that was crap, like licorice and.
Yeah. My dad would dump the bag on the middle of the living room floor and take out all the stuff he wanted. I didn't know what a Butterfinger tasted like till I was 18.
And see, I was the same way, though. That candy was mine.
Right.
I mean, I bought you the costume. That's my candy. You had the fun part of going out and trick-or-treating.
Right. At least you can do is pay ransom, right?
Yeah, you got to pay for that.
What was your favorite candy bar when you were a kid?
Snickers.
Mine was Payday.
Oh, see, I grew to like Paydays.
Oh, and I'm old enough to remember when Payday had so many peanuts, you couldn't even see the caramel.
Yeah, well, I'm a big Payday fan. Well, I was until recently, but I've always, in my older times, I've been a big Payday fan.
Yep.
But I mean, come on. I went, when I was married the first time, I went to Hershey, Pennsylvania.
Okay.
Probably my favorite place on earth. I mean, there's Disney, then there's Hershey. It's 1A, 1B.
Okay.
I mean, Disney is always going to be great, but Hershey is like my Mecca. I mean, it is my heaven. Like, the heaven looks like Hershey to me. And they had like a ride where you can go check out what the chocolate factory looks like, and they give you a little piece of candy afterwards. I came home with like 18 cases of chocolate.
Wow.
Hence the reason I have a fake leg.
One of them, yeah.
One of the many reasons.
Right.
But yeah, it was like, I love the whole Kit Kats, Reese's. Obviously, those are like the staples. I'm trying to think if I'd like any like obscure kid. But now that I haven't had chocolate in like 6 months.
Oh, here's a obscure
I like fruit
one.
stuff.
Did you ever eat a Bun Maple candy bar?
I know.
The ones in a square packet? Oh.
No.
Those are good, too.
Never had the...
You ever watch that show on, I forget if it's Discovery or National Geographic or whatever, but it's the history of, like, Hershey or Mars or Schlitz or Budweiser and all that stuff. And it's
the foods that made us, that kind of thing, on History Channel, I think it is.
That stuff's fascinating.
Oh, it's great.
They should play those in schools to get people to like be interested in thinking again.
Last night or the other night, they had a thing on there. It was the toys that made us, and it was the guy that invented the Slinky.
Really?
Yeah, which I thought was a great story. But who would have thought that a spiral that made out of metal that you toss down a couple of stairs, and half the time doesn't work, would have been like one of the biggest selling toys of all time.
And how about the hula hoop? Isn't that the biggest selling?
It probably is. I didn't watch the special on the Hulu, but I mean, those kind of things. I love those kind of toys back then. I mean, how stupid are kids though? That those are the things that entertain us.
Yeah, now everything's like $400, and you got to sit there with your thumbs and just do this in front of a TV screen. We would look forward to in our neighborhood if somebody's mom got a washer or a dryer and put the box out in the front yard. because you would play
do
in
anything
that
with
box.
that.
Man, that box
Yeah.
was a space capsule. It was a fort. It was a jail. It was a thing. And then when it got all flattened out after playing with it, by that summer would be over, and you'd take it down to the back hill where after the snow fell and it froze, and you'd use it as a giant sled.
I'll tell you what, one of the greatest things I did over the past week, I went to Pittsburgh. That wasn't really great. But, because again,
Yeah, you
unemployment-
looked lost in front of
Unemployment
that
ran
stadium.
out, so I can't
Right.
afford to actually do stuff once I got to Pittsburgh.
Right.
But I was able to have enough gas to go there and come back. But we went to Aliquippa, is that how you
Yes.
pronounce it? Pennsylvania. And Chris Aiken, one of our friends, owns a pinball shop there.
Yeah.
And game shop. And it was one of the most amazing places I've ever been in my life because it has like new pinball machines, but it has a lot of old pinball machines. And then all the old video games that I used to play as a kid, like in the arcades.
Right.
And it was like the greatest time of my life. These new games are cool. They look like movies now
Right.
that you can control with wireless controls. But I had such a good time just playing the old games
right.
that didn't look like they looked like garbage. They had like two lines that we moved around. It was a little bit better than Pong.
I
but
was
it
just going to say, I remember watching people lined up to play Pong. There were restaurants that could afford the game, and it would sit in the lobby while you were waiting, and they would have signs up that say, like, 3-game limit, so that the lines would go down, because otherwise people... Because you didn't have any of these in your house, that you had to go out to get them.
And they had like old school arcades back when I was a kid. You go to Randall Park Mall, which was like a great mall back when I was young, before people started getting murdered there and robbed every other day. But it was a great mall,
Right.
And had a great arcade there. And I would go there my parents would give me $10, and we could be there for 2 hours and just have a good time. And that was fun being a kid. So if you're ever in Aliquippa, go to this pinball place in Aliquippa. I can't remember the name of it, but there can't be a whole lot of pinball places in Aliquippa.
No.
But you got to check it out. It costs you a little bit of money to go in, but you get hours of entertainment.
Wow.
I mean, it's just too much fun. It was hysterical, though, because my daughter was playing an Elvis pinball machine because she's a
Right.
big Elvis fan. And I was looking over at her, watching her play while I was playing the Playboy pinball machine, which was kind of strange, but
Right.
it was fun. It was an old Playboy pinball machine. They had a Ted Nugent one. They had Pinball Wizard, the Who pinball
Right.
machine. I mean, it was awesome place. So check that out if you're ever in Aliquippa. We're gonna do a show there.
Oh, that'll be
actually.
great. That'll be a lot of fun.
I talked to Chris, and we're gonna do a podcast on the road in Aliquippa. And in fact, we are.
What we
having-
should do-
Hang on, we got Chris. Chris, you on the phone?
Yes, sir.
All
How you
right.
doing, Chris? I'm sorry for forgetting the name of the shop, but what's the name of the shop?
It's just called Pinball PA.
Pinball PA.
Okay.
Yep.
And I have to
And
say,
it's,
it was like the best time that I've
it's-
had in 6 months. So at least.
Well, great. That's why I hit you up when I saw that you were in the neighborhood, man. Figured I'd give you a free day to go out and see the 5th largest arcade in the country.
That's incredible.
Where did you get all those games?
My associate Ed that I work with has collected them for the last like 25, 30 years. He's had them, and about 10 years ago, he was looking for a business to do, and we just decided this was the business. So we put it together, and there it is. And it's like you said, man, it's a lot of fun. It's more gaming than you can explain, on the
Yeah,
radio.
it
for
really
sure.
is.
You
Right.
got to see it.
If you don't know Chris Aiken and I go back a long way, metal show and stuff like that on WMMS, and we've been friends for a lot of years. And recently we've hooked back up, and he's helping us put together a lot of stuff with this podcast. So we really appreciate Chris's help. But I have to say, met your son, great guy, and it's an unassuming place. If you look at your pinball shop from like the plaza, it's in a plaza, and if you look at it, you're like, all right, it doesn't look that big. When you go in, you just see tons of machines.
Wow.
Well, it's literally an old Target that's just hollowed out, and there's nothing in it but games. There's
Oh, wow.
210. It's 210 pinball machines and 210 arcade games.
I played Robotron until my arms fell off the other day. I used to play that game at a pizza shop in New York when I was a little kid, and they had that game, and now I got to play it again the other day.
Yeah, that's a fun. For me, it's Dig Dug. Every time I go
Yeah.
in there, I pull up a chair and play Dig Dug for hours.
My wife was playing Frogger and Pac-Man, and then my daughter never left the Elvis pinball machine, though.
Nice.
Nice.
What's your favorite pinball machine there?
For me personally,
Yeah.
I don't know. I'll be honest. My favorite is probably one that's not even on the floor to play, called Thunderball. It's over in the kind of the museum wing,
Yeah.
and that's only because it's so rare. There's only 10 of them that were ever made. It was a prototype that didn't get made, but there's only 4 that are actually in existence, and we have one. So probably that one. It's a garbage game to play. You know, the catch to it was that it didn't have a plunger that you shot the ball out with. Like, you would just push a button and it would throw the ball right onto your flippers,
Nice.
which meant that it didn't work very well because
Right.
people didn't know what was coming. But, you know, just because I have one makes it like super special to me. And it's one
Yeah.
that people can't go out and get.
Well, that was the other
But
cool.
I don't know. It's fun. Go ahead.
That was what the other cool part of that shop is that there's like they have like a Pong stand-up game, and then they have other games like stuff that's really old that is just museum stuff that you could check out. I mean, it was really badass.
Yeah, well, the Pong is one of that's another really, I think that's the first edition, which was limited to, I don't know, 250 or something, that we have one of. And then I don't know if my son told you or not, but the Space Invaders that's behind the ropes, that's the one from Japan. That's like the original one, not the one that was mass produced here in the States. So that's a whole nother story about, coins, because when Space Invaders came out, it hit Japan so hard by storm that they had a coin shortage when it first came out, and we have one of their original machines from Japan.
Do you still play the games with quarters?
No, we have them all set to free play. You pay a fee to come in, and it's like I forget what it is, $22 or something, and you come in, you pay your money, and every machine in the room is set to free play, so you can play whatever you want as many times as you want.
Well, that's a bargain because, I could lose $22 in 15 minutes the way I play, as talented as I'm.
I played the old Star Wars Atari games and the new Star Wars. I mean, it was so cool being there. It really was. So thank you again, man.
Well, hey, it's no problem. That's why I told you, Seth, I want to see you guys out there doing a live broadcast.
We are going to do that, no doubt.
We should have some sort of contest and take like 4 people with us.
That would be cool.
And let them.
I'll tell you what, turn it up to 10, and I will personally take care of any contest winners that you guys have.
Well, we are going to do that, no doubt, because I want to get back out there, and I think that would be a blast for a bunch of people to go out there with us.
That would be.
And we're going to do a show from there live, so that'll be fun. Unfortunately, Chris, we're going to wrap things up, but thank you for calling in. I don't know why Facebook crashed tonight.
Well, we'll talk about it after.
It wasn't something we said, was it?
No, I don't. Maybe could have been. I don't know. Maybe the Ghost guys were.
Yeah,
too
maybe it was
controversial
just
for Facebook.
Well, they did say the S word a couple of times.
And the F word.
Well. We'll get them next week.
Yeah.
But thank you for calling in, Chris. I appreciate it. And I will talk to you soon,
Thanks,
my friend.
Chris. Good to hear from you.
All right, boys. Take care.
You too. Good night.
That would be cool to get a bunch
it
of
will
people
be.
together and go out there.
That's why.
But
That's
we
why I
got
said let's share that. Let's make that spot. We'll do some sort of contest.
we got to wrap everything up. We appreciate everybody listening tonight. A big thanks to Tyrus again for calling in. Going to be at the Weymouth Country Club, MedinaGOP.org. How you get tickets to that? Tyrus Big and Live, October 28th. Check that show out. Big thanks to all of our sponsors. We do appreciate you. Trivs in Strongsville, Aaron Sign Company for the stickers, Union Home Mortgage, Joe's Computer Shop, Lakewood, Berta Custom Flags, Charlie's Auto Repair, love you, brother. Assured Window Cleaning, everybody knows Tony. Mario's Barbershop, thanks for the haircut, my friend. In Parma, Wolf Creek Media, going to get us some T-shirts. Appreciate you and appreciate you hooking us up with Tyrus. Liquid Lifestyle, Smoking Rock and Roll, and a big thanks to Tammy, as usual, for being a friend of the show. We do love you as well. God willing, we will talk to you next Monday for the big tribute show. Have a great week, and good night.
Good night.
All the right words, cold and unsaid. It's a mystery to me how we never found time to say them at all. All the right words were all that remained to keep us from breaking down. Now you see